We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
Tim Walz is an evil man. First of all, he's conflating ICE to the Gestapo, to the Nazis. This is his bid to get more people radicalized. Protect Anne Frank, because if we could go back in history and undo the evil that was done to her, of course we would. And so now he's bringing it back to today's era. And the ICE agents, Gestapo. He is inflaming tensions. And these people, by the way, they don't have the legal right to be here. We voted as a nation, as a majority, for Donald Trump to remove the problem that the Biden administration literally ushered in. Incentivizing people to come, paying for them, all the welfare benefits that go to them, protecting the fraud that he was partaking in from the Somali community in Minneapolis that's robbed not only the hardworking miner that's out there slaving away to provide the ore that data centers need to be erected, for you to have copper, so that you can have electricity. Yes, these are the people that he is taxing, and that money is going to the Somali fraudsters, which he failed to intervene, which he allowed, and now the federal government's dollars poured in as well that get distributed. He is protecting the fraud, and he is intentionally deflecting from that by tugging at your purse strings and comparing illegals to Anne Frank, who won't go outside. What a piece of shit this man is. I truly hope that he is tried for sedition and insurrection, but it seems like the Trump administration is capitulating. He either has to pull all the troops out and allow Minnesota to win, and for this strategy to be replicated across the nation for having won, and then Trump is out in a color revolution, because that's exactly what this is. Completely organized, a RICO case. And you are radicalizing more people with Tim Walz doing this, with the mainstream media backing you, calling it an execution. These words are intentional. What happened to Pretty, what happened to Good, they call a murder. Anything but. Maybe some people think it's tragic. Personally, I think it's FAFO, but I understand that nobody wants people to die. Unfortunately, when you impede law enforcement, you are committing a felony. Pretty, once he touched an officer, he committed a felony. 8 years in jail when you impede an ICE investigation, when you resist arrest, as Good did. That is also a felony. But we can go ahead and frame it as an execution and inflame more people who don't really pay attention, who don't know the nuance of it. And then you have the woman who picks up a flashbang and has her hand blown off because you, Tim Walz, have done this. You have intentionally inserted the woke mind virus into people's minds so that you can control them to deflect from all of the fraud that you willingly abetted, that you and Jacob Frey benefited from, if in no other way than the fact that that money was recycled back to your campaign. Why do you think that they chose your sorry ass to be the vice president nominee? Because they got money all of a sudden. All that money that was taxpayers then gets recycled to the DNC. You are the corrupt evil that we speak of in books, and you frame yourself as somebody who's caring and good as you invoke Anne Frank's name and turn these jelly-minded NPCs against law enforcement in an effort to protect yourself, your fraud, and your ability to control the government on a permanent basis. Because once again, if you see what happened in Virginia, where they're ushering in all of these radical policies, that's exactly what's going to happen when the Democrats take the helm and the presidency. And at that point, y'all better have an escape plan unless you want to be part of the hive hive mind and listen to the queen bees that get to decide what you can eat, how often you can fly, where you can travel to. And don't you dare say the word trans or question whether or not somebody's a man or a woman, because then you'll be labeled misinformation and you'll be sent to jail, because these people want to undermine the First Amendment. Tim Walz said this.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
This idiot doesn't even know what the First Amendment entails. Of course it protects misinformation, because who is to determine what is a lie? Tim Walz, you are evil. If I had said that the virus emanated from the Wuhan laboratory, that was called a debunked conspiracy theory over and over again. That was labeled misinformation and struck down on Twitter. And thank God that we can still discuss that in America, but not under your rule. And that is what we're headed towards, with this evil man and his cohorts, or people like them, running things, deciding what you can and cannot do, all under the guise of compassion. And I say, F that. Tim Walz is an evil man, and so are all those who behave in his manner. Peace. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Thumb up the video.